Yeah, but it's hot.
Everyone, how are we feeling? So I had a speech that I prepared for y'all today, but I was approached by someone who I feel has much more important and pressing things to say than I do, and deserves to be heard by y'all.
Sorry.
She was scheduled to speak at the Trans March, but that invitation was taken back earlier this week. I've been asked to hand off my mic to her, so that's what I'm going to do. Her name is Zara. Some of her chosen family are gathering mutual aid for her at bit.ly/helpzarax, and I'll let her take it away. Thanks, y'all.
Like this? There you go. Okay, thank you. Your cities are borne down with the smoke of dying forests, resulting in the worst air quality on the entire planet. Your politicians are bludgeoning transgender rights as they start feasting for demagoguery power. Canada rushes bills so blustering in its invasion that your encryption services such as Signal and Windscribe warn they will leave shall they pass. Calamity, where are you? Haggadah, that question, where are you? The proverbial hillside, by one and by droves, I have seen Canadian transgender people and U.S. trans relocation and refugee peers run towards them, haunting me nightside, knowing that the poly crisis is faced by a sparse vanguard of exhausted, thinning activists who cannot fill the concaving hole this reality is crushing us into. You are the population that must act. Calamity, where are you? Some would define the hillside fleeing as fantastical levels of cowardice and passivity, historical and selfishness to distance themselves from the screams and sobs of transgender people in ICE concentration camps, suffering prison torture and medical denial murder. But I call it white flight, not by the white wings of peace-seeking doves, not by the white man-made wings of Icarus's hubris. No, by something far more pathetic. By the flapping of their white arms in surrendered panic. You have the collective strength to call out grossly behaved hairstylists. Protest that there are a lack of trans comedy shows due to FIFA. And condemn as exaggeration my accounts of anti-blackness you slam upon me. No spoons, no power, no passion to protect your most slain. The many dead black trans women you retweet, and the murdered and missing indigenous men, women, boys, girls, and two-spirit people you don't consider trans enough to show up for in mass. Mass murder is your comfort zone. You have made all lives matter. The transgender movement. You make ashamed your all-giving trans elders, such as my dear friend and political companion, Kate Glasson, who upon witnessing your near-fatal antics against me, is left to contend that her sacrifices have been for a populace fond of their white supremacy, unbothered now that they have their constitutional rights and accessible hormone replacement therapy. Black transgender people from the US have tried to flee to your country, barred at the border. But of course you don't know anything about that, do you? Know nothing, do nothing. Calamity! Where are you? White-centering and self-pitying as you are, I am left to ask more directly. Lauren Sundstrom, where are you? While I was trapped in a slumlord house, desperate for stability and protection while I had minimal status after fleeing my abusive husband, Lauren Sundstrom, you reached out to me, telling me how you were absolutely willing to help me get attention to me as I was in dire need to be helped by the community. Promising, quote, I will share your posts and keep updated. Nothing came of it. She also promised a shared live stream, but that didn't happen either. Community and its acting executive director, Michael Roback, where are you? During the same time of vulnerability, I attended a trans support group meeting where my white peers do what they do best, degrade and dismiss me.
Same.
Then I had to flee that slumlord house, threatened to be taken to a junkyard where men, old-time gangsters, who would not care about my life, care or to see me as a woman, were to maim me or disappear me. By the serendipitous meeting of online trans activists, and thank you so much, did I have somewhere to flee, a kitchenette living room floor in Vancouver to flee to. These are the circumstances Lauren Sundstrom, community, and its acting executive director, Michael Roback, almost left me to die in.
Shame.
When I attempted with Kate Glasson support to call out Lauren Sundstrom for ignoring me after her promises to aid me, she blocked me. And for community, its staff insisted I must address them myself first, admitting they were ignoring a witness to the event trying to be my ally in their accountability. And when Michael Roback finally had a meeting with Kate Glasson and I, he was flustered, emotionally unequipped to face the fact that his organization maintains the segregation of the TS LGBT populace. Kate Glasson and I are approaching the board for complaint. He promised that he would teach his staff so that this never happens again. I had to ask him, how can you teach something you don't even understand what happened? He promised a second meeting in that capacity for me to educate community. He never followed through.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
As for Lauren Sundstrom, the receipts are on my TikTok account. Look for yourself. I want a public-facing conversation with this woman. How dare she make her promises and abandon me at my lowest? No income, fleeing my husband in a foreign country. I wasn't even a refugee claimant yet, and only known by a handful of people in a greater city population of 2 million people. Trans people, are you to do nothing again? Calamity! Where are you? Faye Johnstone, where are you? Kate Glasson has repeatedly attempted to contact you, asking you to help me, knowing how on edge my life has been and still is. But perhaps you've become too self-important now, treating her, your political elders, as spent and beneath you, to her surprise. Kate Glasson has written and called many desperate to protect my life and transgender people from the United States. But how few of you heeded her call. And now I am left to pick up the pieces of my endangered and shattered life. Faye Johnstone, you have disappointed her. And like to Lauren Sundstrom, these scathing public call-outs of your apathy towards my life and the life of my peers has her gnawed. I resent you both significantly, and I will not stop talking about your names until you have the humility to address me, the humility to speak to me and the trans people who have given everything to make sure I didn't disappear on the Canadian streets. Trans people of Vancouver. These are the trans people you look up to? These self-important white women? Calamity! Where are you? I want to speak further about this in terms of how I have been responded to making this speech. Ultimately, it is a failure, of intersectional literacy, of compassion and curiosity. I'm told that the speech's emphasis is the accusations. Again, I now require the aid of the state in a protest that's now boldly claiming it's going to take all the road. I need the state to say, yes, this happened to her. The hypocrisy. Laughable if it wasn't so pathetic. But this racial lack of truly being able to read the lines proves the point. Because it wasn't the focus of the speech. It was the education of the speech. The focus of the speech is the frustration. It's what happens to me and people like me. But if I just said that, it would be, oh, sad black woman, clap, 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 and how little you would take action or do anything. A tale as old as time in race relations within and without the queer community. The examples were to give you something to reflect on. And you acted like as if I took a barbarian, double-sided weapon and slashed at them. I'm asking for accountability. How is that punitive? Communal conversations, call-ins by calling out, is not carceral.
Yeah.
How dare you say that to me?
Yeah. Damn. We love you, Zara.
I had to start this fucking activism in a women's shelter. And you want to talk to me about punishment? Carcerality.
Yeah.
There is no U.S. trans refugee population to turn to. You are the people that need to help. And yet your white fragility makes me feel like I'm having to storm Normandy just to talk to you. How fucking pathetic. Where's your souls? Where's your curiosity? Siphoned by money, comfortability, and the best tenet of white supremacy of all, conflict avoidance. But don't worry. You see, I was born in a white household. I know how to deal with y'all. You're very persistent, but I've learned to be even more persistent. Reflect on yourselves. Take action. Have the community to be able to have more conversations. Existentially, we are under threat. You think you're protected because you're Canadian?
No.
Notwithstanding clauses expanding. The HRT bans expanding. The psyops of Maple MAGA attempting to expand. And you can't even handle one black woman saying, y'all ain't shit. Flapping white arms. Absolutely pitiable. You know what all it took, which is so common in anti-blackness, is for someone to say, hey, I hurt you. How do I repair this? How do I reverse everything I've done to the best of my ability and take action? That is ultimately one of the most crucial lessons in teaching about anti-racism, and how gloriously did you all fail. protest. Hilarious. For who? Before I end, I'll say one more thing. I want my $50. But don't call it an honorum, because what you've done leading up to today has no fucking honor.
Woo!
I'm a poor trans woman. I'm gonna take my money. And I'd like it in cash, please. Thank you.
Zara, we love you! Woo! Woo!
A statement on behalf of the Trans March will be made after the march. I do encourage, and this is something that I'm not saying personally, but I can say confidently from everyone that I have known that has worked to put this together, please donate to Zara's fund. We do ultimately, at our core, believe that we need to stand up for refugees, for Black trans women, for all trans women who are facing poverty, and I encourage everyone to do what they can to support her. We will be honoring the honorarium that was promised and increasing it. Before we move off, I want to introduce our final speaker. Someone very dear to me. Norma Rayeb is a transgender activist and advocate from Lebanon. Her activism began while she was studying journalism and communication arts, leading to her involvement with the LGBTQIA organizations in the SWANA region and worldwide. Her lived experience and work in media and the nonprofit sector helped her raise the voice about LGBTQIA issues around the world. She is claiming asylum in Vancouver. She continues to fight for the rights of the trans community. She has worked as a sponsorship coordinator at Rainbow Refugee, a peer facilitator at Mosaic, a co-trainer at Community, and is currently working as communications manager at Rainbow Refugee Society and developing training materials to help raise awareness in workplace and communities for trans and queer refugees. Everyone please, Norma!
Good evening, everyone. I just want to start by saying that I wrote this speech last week before knowing who's going to speak here tonight. My name is Norma, and I stand before you today as a trans woman, a refugee, a Lebanese trans woman, an Arab trans woman, and someone who still believes, despite everything, that people can change. I am here today representing myself and on behalf of Rainbow Refugee. Last year, I took this mic and I spoke about survival.
She was there and now she's gone.
I want to talk about solidarity. Because if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that none of us gets free alone. I wasn't always free to stand behind a microphone. Back home, being myself was dangerous. My silence wasn't a choice, it was survival. Like so many trans people around the world, I learned to make myself smaller, less visible, less controversial. Until one day I realized something. Silence has never protected us. Visibility has always come at a cost. But invisibility costs us even more.
This is Zara's phone. Oh, okay.
Today,
That's still live streaming.
I live on the stolen land of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations.
I'll just give it to you.
I found safety here as a refugee. That safety changed my life. But safety should never make us uncomfortable enough to stop fighting for people who are still searching for theirs. Because while we still gather here today, there are trans people around the world wondering if they'll survive another week. There are trans refugees waiting years for protection. There are trans youth wondering if they'll ever grow old. And there are families grieving loved ones who should still be here today. Today, I want us to remember some of the trans lives we lost this year. Today we remember Shael Diamond Sanchez McRae, Devonta Curtis, Daniela Annalie, Danielle Spillman, Luca Redbeard, Henry Singleton, Juniper Blessing, Erika Caldwell, and many, many, many more. We remember every trans person whose name made the headlines and every trans person whose name never did. May we never become so used to these losses that we stop saying their names. May we honor them not only with a moment of silence, but with a lifetime of action. At Rainbow Refugee, I meet people every week who remind me that pride looks different depending on where you're standing. For some people, pride is glitter. For others, pride is finally saying a name out loud. For some people, pride is crossing a border. For others, it is surviving another day. Every version of pride belongs here, and that's why solidarity matters. Solidarity isn't something we post once a year. It's showing up when people are inconvenient to defend. It's standing beside indigenous communities. It's standing beside disabled communities. It's standing beside migrant workers. It's standing beside Palestinians. It's standing beside Sudanese, Congolese, Lebanese, Syrians, Yemenis, Ukrainians, trans refugees from the States, and every community being told their suffering matters less. Because oppression has always depended on convincing us that someone else's struggle is separate from our own. It never is. I also want to say something that I think our movement needs to hear today. Calling people in is just as revolutionary as calling people out. I've seen what happens when conversations replace assumptions. I've seen organizations grow because people refuse to give up on each other. Accountability is important, but accountability without compassion becomes punishment. And movements built only on punishment eventually become very lonely movements. Real change happens when we leave room for people to learn, for communities to evolve, for institutions to listen. Not because we lower our expectations, but because we refuse to lower our belief that transformation is possible. That doesn't mean accepting injustice. It means believing that justice is something we build together. To every trans person here today, whether you're out or not, whether you're questioning, whether you're thriving, whether you're barely hanging on, whether you're indigenous, black, brown, Arab, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Druze, Alawite, disabled, undocumented, or a refugee, or someone who simply came looking for home. I want you to hear me today. You belong here. Your existence has never required permission, and neither does your joy.
I'm gonna
So
end it now,
today-
everyone. Bye.
March loudly, dance loudly.
Gone away. Well, I give to be the king to the rodeo queen.